Thank you for being here and being willing to serve as delegates. My name is Ben Stanley. I'm running for Utah County Attorney. I'm on the City Council in Pleasant Grove. I've been fighting for my kids, for each of you, for all of Utah County. Can you not hear me? Oh, there we go, a little better. Just keep it really close in here. So again, my name is Ben Stanley. I'm fighting to make sure that we get better results in our county attorney's office and that we put the public back at the forefront. I'm convinced, and I submit to each of you, that we can get greater results where we have safe and secure neighborhoods without trampling upon constitutional rights and individual liberties. I know that we can do a better job being smart on crime, fighting for the 4 planks of the Republican platform when it comes to criminal justice, which are, swift and sure deterring punishments that bring restitution to victims in ways that are a lot more responsive to taxpayers. We can do a better job being financially responsible. I'm the great financial conservative of my city council. I'm the one that's always fought to make sure we're putting taxpayer dollars to the wisest possible use, and we can do that in our county attorney's office. I believe that my 3 kids need to have great protection and safety, and that we need to be doing all that we can to fight the serious offenders and to go after the big fish to get results that are good for each of us. So my name again is Ben Stanley. My website's voteben.com. I'm a child of an Air Force lieutenant colonel who got his doctorate in electrical engineering, so I lived all over the country and learned a lot of great things, but this is home. I graduated magna cum laude from BYU's law school. I've served in the finest courtrooms that have led the brightest minds in the legal profession, top of their class from the finest law schools, into court, into battle, to win, for fighting for what really matters, doing the right things for the right reasons. So I'm asking for your vote. Would love to have your support. Thank you again for all that you do. Ben Stanley.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Buman. I'm sorry I'm losing my voice, but I am the current county attorney. I am not a politician, and this job is not a stepping stone for me. I love what I do, and myself and my team are very good at what we do. And what we do is we protect our community. That is what we do. In this job, courtroom experience cannot be replicated. Experience counts. I have 17 years prosecuting experience doing jury and bench trials, dozens and dozens of them, everything from shoplifting to DUI to rape and murder. I've done them all. I lead a team of 30 attorneys. Those attorneys need guidance, pushing, they need support. Experience is required to lead this team. I have a lot of leadership experience. Besides being the county attorney for 7 years, I was a unit leader in our office over the drug team. I have experience as a company commander. I was in charge of 100 Special Forces soldiers for 3 years. I was recently in Afghanistan in charge of the base defense for all U.S. bases in northern Afghanistan, leading a team of about 200 people. Let me change tactics really quick. Crime victims and taxpayers deserve proactive representation in court. We, over this past 7 years, have earned a statewide reputation for professionalism, competency, and high ethical standards. I don't know what he's talking about trampling people's rights. That's utterly not true. We have the highest ethical standards. In our office, we do the right thing for the right reason at the right time. All of my attorneys. That includes going after the worst crimes. Just yesterday, we had a verdict on a child sodomy case, protecting that child. We did the Dr. McNeil case, where he killed his wife. That's our office. On the other end of the spectrum, we work very hard to make sure that those that want to change their life can rehabilitate. Thank you.
Thank you. When the timer holds up his hand up in front, we are going to give the candidates a little bit of elasticity on your question. What are the top issues facing Utah County as you see them as an attorney?
Since 2010, our crime rate, at least by cases coming into our office, peaked and has been declining ever since then, slowly but surely. One of the critical issues in our office is to maintain and develop the most skilled team of attorneys that we can for the money that we have. As our population increases, tax dollars never keep up. So we've got to become more efficient, allowing our attorneys to do more with less. Over the past couple of years, we've taken our office from a paper-based office, as attorneys we love that, to a digital-based office. Our next step that we're working on right now, which will take us probably another year or so, is to get the courts on board, and we'll be completely digital. I say completely. Our attorneys can't completely get rid of paper. But that will allow our attorneys to do more with less, to focus more on cases as we have additional cases coming in because our population will increase. So one of the critical issues is doing that. A second is developing rehabilitative programs.
So we're looking to see some better results in our county. Some of the crimes that are prevalent across Utah County are affinity fraud, identity theft, drug abuse. There's violent crimes too. Some of the big challenges we face are questions of prosecutorial ethics. You know, in the Mark McNeil case that my opponent just described, I've looked at the appellate briefs. There's concerns there about where we're going next and whether there was some secret deals letting one convict out to get another convict in, where we might have opened a door to a real possibility of a reversal on appeal. So we've got concerns about how the office is run. We can get better results there, and we've got concerns about some of the crimes, some of the systemic issues. We want to make sure we're going after people that are the real offenders and the real problems, and doing a better job protecting our constitutional rights, fighting for you and I, fighting for all of Utah County. So we want to make sure that we're fighting for accountability within the office, transparency to the public. You know, there's statistical reports that the county attorney keeps. We can get those out to the public. We can do more with integrity. We can do more with efficiency in general. Thanks.
Okay, and if you would like a 30-second rebuttal, raise your hand and we'll allow a 30-second rebuttal if you so choose.
Mark McNeil case is one that is critical. That's the doctor that killed his wife. That was one of the hardest cases ever prosecuted in Utah. A cold case, many years old. Fantastic job by a fantastic team of attorneys. There are no appellate briefs because he hasn't been sentenced yet. You don't have an appeal till after a sentence. So, ethical. The 3 attorneys that did that case, highly, highly ethical attorneys. Do we use bad people as witnesses? Absolutely. It's part of life when you deal with drug cases and murder cases.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can do a great job. You know, there's a question in that case about whether or not there were secret deals, and there were questions on the stand about what was offered to incentivize a testimony about a criminal conviction, about a confession, rather, excuse me, in the prison system. So, you know, I've looked at some of the early versions of, and discussed with prosecuting or the defending attorney in that case, some of the early drafts. And so there's interesting concerns there. I don't want to see doors open to appeals that are going to be costly. I want to see us do a better job of making sure we prosecute crime in a way that will keep us safe and do it right. Clean. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is going to come from Mr. Stanley's website, and it will be a question that you can both ask. But on your website, you talked about having more transparency, including win-loss records, recidivism rates, percentage of pleas and abeyance, etc. My question is, are these true measures of how well the county attorney is performing, or is this eye candy to dazzle the masses and the voters?
I believe in being data-driven, getting results. That's what I'm fighting for. You know, I worked on Mitt Romney's presidential campaigns as an election law compliance attorney. I've done a tremendous amount of courtroom work, but I want to see stats. I want to see numbers because I believe in accountability. I want you as electorate to keep me accountable as I serve in that office, and I want to hold every one of the attorneys in that office accountable. And the way to do that is with data-driven results. Now, I'm not going to be... I'm not going to look at those statistics in ways that are focused on specific anomalies, but in an aggregate, in a holistic way. We're going to look at all the different numbers and we're going to put together the story. And I want my prosecutors to come to me and say, you know what, in this particular case I dismissed. And I dismissed because there were, you know, constitutional errors in the way that the arresting officer handled some things. And so, and we didn't have a guilty defendant. This was an innocent person. And the right thing to do, what the U.S. Supreme Court demands in a situation like that, is to dismiss. But But those kind of statistics will be valuable. They're always valuable. I want to use all of them in aggregate, and they do mean something. I'd like to have them a lot more available to the public without grammar requests.
Yes.
Statistics mean some things. A prosecutor's duty, ethically, is not to obtain convictions. A prosecutor's ethical duty is to do justice. Prosecutors publish win-loss and conviction rates when they run for election. That's it. It's not a good measure of how you're doing crime work. We focus greatly on making sure that we hammer people that need to be hammered, and that we help rehabilitate those who want to be rehabilitated. So conviction statistics don't help that. We want to incentivate, is that a word? Motivate attorneys to do the right thing for the right reason in every case. And by saying, did you get a conviction, is not the right way to do that. He mentioned we want to dismiss cases when the evidence is bad. That's why you don't use those statistics. Because if you use those statistics, it motivates attorneys to not dismiss cases when they're bad. We don't track those because we want them to do the right thing at the right time for the right reason. Is that it? Yeah.
Any rebuttals?
Sure. Don't have anything to rebut, but I just like to have the microphone, like to talk. It's a thrill to be here. You know, there are statistics that are meaningful, and oftentimes people that run from their statistics have statistics to be concerned about. But my goal is to make sure that we are comprehensive and holistic in the way we analyze the stats, to look at things, look for anomalies and patterns, but to talk about it with prosecutors. The advantage of having somebody from outside the office with tremendous, unmatched private sector courtroom experience is the ability to hold people within that office accountable and to make a real difference, have an impact. Thanks.
Just so you know, on the county attorney's website, we have annual reports from 2009, 10, and 11, or 10, 11, 12, I can't recall. There's statistics in those reports. There's a lot of things you can glean from them, what we do, how we do it, a lot of statistics there. Also, my chief deputy and I internally do look at statistics of our prosecutors. We look at how many cases they're dismissing, things like that, to ensure that we don't have any prosecutor either being too harsh or too lenient. We do that.
Thank you. My next question, you are both elected officials. Your job is to uphold the laws. The question is, when in conflict, which is more important, the rule of law or meeting the needs and desires of the people?
Who do you want to answer first?
Any volunteers? For the rule of law.
The rule of law or meeting the needs of or the voice of the people.
Well, I'll take a shot. That's a hard one. I suppose I am in the executive branch. My job is to execute, to uphold the law. That is the primary function of the county attorney's office. Now, the will of the people can be thwarted, for instance, in a jury trial. A jury can acquit someone if they don't like the law. It's not supposed to be that way, but our county platform says it is that way, or it should be that way. So, I don't mean to hedge, but I am charged with upholding the law in Utah County, and we do that, and we do it well in our office. However, there's always an option out when a jury looks at a case. They can acquit if they're particularly, they can just say not guilty. And then the rule of law is overcome by the will of the jury, the will of the people.
So I believe in the words of our constitutions. I believe in the language that we open our state constitution with. Grateful to Almighty God for life and liberty, we the people of the state have established laws. I believe the rule of law is the will of the people. I believe in being a servant, in looking and listening, being attentive to what the public wants, and not to just listen to the loudest voices or the moneyed interests, but to get the results that are best for every one of us. I'm fighting to make sure that we get safe, secure communities, and that requires some respect for the rule of law. I think the big challenge we have right now in Washington, the current administration has a total disregard for the rule of law. We have lawlessness, and that is what we need to avoid. But yes, I'll listen, and I want to hear, and I want to fight for you. I want to get good results. I want to know what you want. But ultimately, the rule of law is what the majority want. It's what makes our country great, is the consistency and the brilliance of a system of jurisprudence that protects every one of us.
Not please.
Yes.
I just want to make a comment. I actually agree with what Mr. Stanley said. The problem with saying the will of the people in many instances is it's coming from the media. The will of the people is not necessarily what the legislature said, who we voted in, but it's from the media. So we do not pay attention to things like that. We uphold the law as dictated by the legislature and Congress. That's what we do. You have to be very careful. This job is not a political job. So I don't worry about what a defense attorney says, or what, even though I have great respect for them, or what one constituent says. We uphold the Constitution, as Mr. Stanley indicated, and the law.
Last question for our attorneys. Unfortunately, the John Swallow situation has placed a high level of scrutiny on our attorney positions. Where has the bulk of your campaign contributions come from? And should we be concerned about a candidate who receives large amounts of funding from out-of-state interests and or specific industries like payday lenders?
Sure. So, in a lot of ways, I analogize our case to the state race. I'm proud to say I supported Sean Reyes when I was as a state delegate, voted for him, not because I knew anything about what was going on in John Swallow. I think most of us didn't know a lot of the details of John Swallow's situation there, but I liked Reyes. He had tremendous private sector, big firm law experience, the very highest quality and caliber of representing in courtrooms on the private sector, and could bring that to a public office for a brief period of time to fix some systemic issues. And so I love to see that. I was up yesterday talking to Governor Herbert about the value of having somebody different come in and clean house a little bit and fix things, not to cause great changes, but to make the course corrections that will get us to where we want to be. And so I like what happened in that race, that we got Reyes in there. I like the man. And so to answer broadly the question, my campaign contribution so far is $0. I'm funding my campaign because I believe in this cause. I believe in getting good results. I think we do need to be concerned about where the money's coming from, and we need to be representing and fighting for you, fighting for the people.
To answer the question, most of my campaign contributions, and I'll admit to you, I'm not a really good politician. I can't fundraise. I'm worthless at fundraising. But they've come from supporters like friends and family, attorneys in the office, things like that. When you brought up a good point with Mr. Swallow, I didn't know John very well, but he came down 2 or 3 times to kind of pressure me into, that's too strong a word, to ask me to endorse him. I didn't know him, and he seemed like he was so political that I felt a little wary. This office is not a political office. It shouldn't be a political office. It's about doing the right thing. That's all it's about. I don't take campaign contributions from payday loans or anyone else. I don't even solicit campaign contributions because this office cannot have influences that will lead it to do things incorrectly or unethically.
Thank you. Okay, that's all the questions.